Welcome to At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah and Matt.
Cleveland, welcome into the office, the show where we apparently cannot have anything nice because not only did the Cleveland Browns lose in Pittsburgh today, but they in fact also, the Cleveland Cavaliers, in fact, lost their game against the Miami Heat. Evan Mobley goes down with an injury. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm your host, Noah, joined with my co-host, Matt. You can join us at the office, too. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, X, wherever you're watching this, or text the show at 216-250-1411. That's 216-250-1411. Matt, buddy, welcome into the office. This is your first show underneath the new branding. How are you, man?
I'm not bad. I'm confused as to where I am. Got lost on my way here today, but we're here.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, again, just to refresh what we got going on, right? We are now moved into this completely new branding of just At the Office being the name of both podcasts that we've been doing here, previously under the East Bank Sports Show moniker. And I'm excited to announce as well, we have now also moved forward in a way as to where we are our own sole show underneath Fans First Sports Network. So there's no middleman going on involved here. There's no ill will with me towards anybody over at the Fanatical Elves or anything like that. Love those guys. Love Sherry. Love all of those people making great content over there. Hope to be on some more of those shows soon. Just thought it'd be an easier way to streamline this process of making content and getting it out to you guys, especially because, we post a lot on our YouTube. We do a lot on the Facebook as well, and we're just trying to grow the brand throughout. With that being said, Matt, are you ready to get into some sports news?
I think so. Let's do it.
So this topic that we're starting with is, we're talking about moving into the 25 season with the Cleveland Browns, right? I want to take a step back. I want to get your reactions from the game today real quick. Browns lose to the Steelers 28 to 13 was it, or 14 or whatever? 27-14, I think was the final. Dustin Hopkins needs to get off of this roster, in my opinion. Same thing with Kadarius Toney. He hasn't really brought anything of note, and then he fumbled a punt return today. And that was like the only thing he was good at Kansas City. So what else are you thinking about this game real quick, Matt?
I mean, it just felt like one of those games that, if they hadn't already, the players had thrown in the towel in the locker room pregame and they were like, all right, let's just get out of here safely. The season's a wrap. We don't care anymore. It just felt like one of those games that they didn't care. And it sucked to watch. But that's what we're going to kind of have to brace for the last couple of weeks we got left.
See, I didn't get that sentiment from this team. I think we got outplayed today. I think we got outcoached today. And that's a testament to, I think, Ken Dorsey isn't a fit here. I don't think that's a testament against Kevin Stefanski or anything like that right now. Because to me, I don't think this locker room is lost. I haven't seen from this team any signs to me that show that they're not bought into what Kevin Stefanski, potentially Andrew Berry, what's really going on with this franchise. I haven't seen that yet. What I have seen is lack of production, lack of good play, specifically from the quarterback position. I know we all love Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston at the end of the day is still Jameis Winston. And we got not a poor effort, but a poor game out of him today. He did not play good football. He did not play remotely close to good football where he's throwing 4 touchdowns and 500 yards like he did against Denver, but also 2-3 interceptions, really, even though the last one didn't matter as much. To me, I think it's time, and I think all of us here in Cleveland are ready to just get this season over with so we can move forward in a different direction in terms of what this team is really going to look like and what this team is going to be moving forward. With that being said, talking about what's going on moving forward, Matt, I propose to you the question of what is really going on with this team, what the quarterback room is going to look like in 2025. What does your perfect offseason look like for this quarterback room in 2025? I pass the mic off to you.
So I think you're actually really going to disagree with where I stand on this. And I don't think I've put it out there too much on the show yet. We have too many problems for our first, second, or third round pick to be a quarterback. We are too far away from being able to support a rookie quarterback thrown into that starting role that, my ideal offseason is we keep Jameis. We either put our faith in DTR as our 2, or we go sign a guy like Drew Lock, Andy Dalton, a cheap backup guy. And then we maybe look, late round, Jackson Dart, Riley Leonard, like a guy like that that's a late round, might develop, has the arm talent. But I just think we have too many problems for that early round, top 5, top 10 pick, whatever it'll end up being. I think we have too many problems, too many holes that we're going to need to fill for that to be a quarterback.
Yeah, so I went a different route with this, right? I went a completely different route because everything that I have seen from this front office and seen from this team, to me, screams that we should be moving, that they want to move in a direction, I should say, of trying to compete right now still. They think this is a retool, not a rebuild. They don't think the problems are as abundant as they could be in terms of having a franchise cornerstone like Myles Garrett, like a Denzel Ward, like you could say Joel Bitonio or Wyatt Teller. I lean Wyatt Teller, not from the bias that I enjoy him as a player, but from the bias that he is a Pro Bowl, perennial Pro Bowl guard every year now. You have some of these pieces in place. You have a guy in Jerry Jeudy that looks like he could truly be a number 1 wide receiver on a good team, on a playoff team. With all of this in mind, I started looking up and down the NFL draft. I started looking at NFL free agency. I started thinking about the quarterbacks on the roster now. So it's going to come down to this. This is what my thought process is, because the question is, what's my perfect offseason? What do I want to see? Well, I want to see the most talent in the quarterback room so we get the most out of the player that was on the field from the quarterback room. What does that look like, you may ask? Well, I'll tell you. I think you bring back Jameis Winston. I think this locker room, I think this quarterback room, specifically if you're even thinking about bringing in any type of rookie quarterback, depending whether it's, a 5th or 6th, 7th round pick that you're hoping sparks into something or an earlier round pick. I think you need a voice. I think you need a leadership person in this level, this area of the locker room, right? So I think you bring Jameis Winston back because I still think you could get him for pretty cheap. And I think he's still better than trotting Deshaun Watson out there. Speaking of one, Deshaun Watson, if we're talking about the perfect world, the greatest makeup in my mind, no, I did not cut him. I see you doing the cut sign, Matt. I did not cut him because financially it does not help the team to make moves if they cut him. That being said, I cannot wait to see the highlight tape of Deshaun Watson at 4th string practice squad safety next year with a red cap on, because that's all he's worth in my mind. Hopefully they do a buyout. There's a buyout thought process out there. I don't know cap. I don't know the contract side of the NFL as much as I know, players and everything we typically talk about on the show. But there's a chance that Deshaun Watson takes lesser money to go try and play football somewhere else, because if not, his career is effectively over because he's going to sit on the bench for 2 years here. Moving forward, Matt, what do you think my next thing here is? I went a little off the wall today.
The way you've been building this up and phrasing it has me so nervous you're about to say something like trade the entire team for Patrick Mahomes or something.
No, okay, we're not that crazy, but you know how crazy we are? We're going to take a shot, not a shot in the dark. I wouldn't call him a shot in the dark. But there's one guy who has been lighting it up. It has finally been his time to shine in the NFL, in the NFC, from Kevin Stefanski's old team. They're going to bring in Sam Darnold to compete here in the quarterback room. Compete is a strong word. They'll probably tell him he's got the starting reins, and I would give him the starting reins after the year he's had. The problem with this is I think it's going to be extremely hard. I'm quoting right now Jordan Schultz on Sam Darnold, a Bleacher Report reporter. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Minnesota to retain him because of the year he's had. In my opinion, he's probably going to Gardner somewhere along the lines of what Baker Mayfield got. 3 years, $100 million, which is probably fair considering his age. He's still pretty young, and because of what he's shown on tape. It's pretty expensive, right? We have a lot of money sunk in this quarterback room. But taking Sam Darnold and spending 2 years and $70 million on him is roughly what I've put up here. I think I'd be okay with it. Let's see what we can get out of the guy. Let's see if he can be, at the very least, a better bridge than a Jameis Winston, than a Jacoby Brissett, that kind of thing, to take us to that next level. You then have the safety blanket of Jameis Winston, over there eating the W still, preaching his word, talking the good word of God and all of that to move us forward. And then what do? Because I'm not done yet. Like I said, I want all the talent in this quarterback room. It's day 2 of the NFL draft. You like your Shadur, you like Cam Ward, but you're not in the position to take them. But you know who you are in the position to take? A guy just down the road from Medina, Ohio, former 5-star quarterback of the fraudulent Penn State Nittany Lions. Give me Drew Aller in the 2nd to 3rd round. See if we can get anything out of the guy who's been a Browns fan his whole life. Why are you shaking your head, Matt?
He's the most overrated quarterback in the draft.
I tend to agree to an extent, but I like the fact that he's from here, and I like the fact that if we can get him in the 2nd to 3rd round, that's the caveat there, the 2nd to 3rd round. I don't even know if I'd want to take him with what would be the 2nd pick, 40th overall, 2nd round pick, 40th overall. It would be a trade back into the 2nd round type of scenario for me if he's going that high, considering we have 2 third-round picks and, a plethora of draft picks in the later rounds as well, that we could make something work, I think, if we're committed to taking an Ohio guy that cares about this team just as much as you and I, which speaks to me personally.
No, I mean, I don't hate that. I'm not sure. I think Sam Darnold would be the call, in my opinion. I did think about him, and he was kind of on my list. I just think it would sink way too much money into that quarterback room. I mean, I get it, and I would be very happy for that scenario to play out. Like you said, the dream world. I just think that's way too much money sunk into the room.
Yeah, and that, as I'm saying it, I'm like thinking about this. Are they really going to be able to do something like this and spend that kind of money on the quarterback room with the money you already have sunk into Deshaun? But, you look at some of these more cap-heavy experts around, the Cleveland organization or the NFL, and talking about how they can spread out the Deshaun money where it doesn't really matter as much. It's just tough. I don't think this team, I think the point of, my stacked quarterback room that I have here, comparatively speaking to, in the past, we've only kept 2 quarterbacks on the roster. This team doesn't want to punt on the next 3 to 5 years. It feels like they still want to compete very heavily right now. Like they see that they wasted a season on Deshaun Watson, want to move forward from that. How do you do that? You bring in as much quarterback talent as you can. Some are at cheaper price tags than others, and you roll out there and see what you could get out of these guys. I think it just makes sense. I started with saying Jaden Milroe in the second to third round, but I personally think he's going to end up either going back to school or shooting up draft boards. There's a chance Aller goes back to school too. But I like this scenario because it gives me some entertainment in terms of who's going to be the starting quarterback, I guess. I'm just so down on the Cleveland Browns right now, man. We were on a high coming into the season about how good this team really could be, and we are 3-10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so over it. What else are you thinking, Matt, Cleveland Brown wise?
Really, the last thing I had when we were talking quarterbacks is looking at, the list of this year's quarterback class. Even the top names, I see them as the top names, but none of them really jump out to me like crazy. But then you start to look ahead to next year and even the year after that, and that's where I start to fall in love with some of these guys coming out of college. So that was also part of the reason that kind of drove me away from that first, second round draft pick being the guy, is none of the guys really seem worth that to me.
Yeah, I get that too. I know that's been kind of the talking point about this draft with the quarterbacks and everything like that. I just don't know what that option looks like for this team because, again, I'm going to triple down and say they do not feel like they want to punt and go into a full-blown rebuild. It feels as if they want to retool and expect to compete again next year. And that's not me coping as a Browns fan. That's just everything I've seen in terms of how they act, how they're playing this year. If you were going into a full-blown rebuild, I think you would have seen DTR out there already because you want to see if he can even remotely be a starting quarterback in this NFL, even though it's kind of been shown for the most part that it's not there. And if you want it to be there, you have to build on him for a lot longer. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. I love the draft, admittedly, so it's cool that we have a first-round pick again this year and can enjoy that part of the NFL season. It just sucks that we are December 8th, Sunday night, talking football, and the Browns have officially been eliminated from playoff contention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not at all where I thought we'd be at this point in the year.
Yeah, me either, man. That being said, we're going to cut to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking some Guardians. We're going to be talking some Cavaliers. The Cavs lost today, too. It's a little low energy on the show today because of all the losses. We'll be right back with At the Office after these commercial messages. And we're back at the office talking sports as we do every single Monday and Wednesday, except we're doing it on Sunday this week because Matt has something going on. And there was a lot of sports going on, so I felt like sitting down and talking anyway. Real quick, make sure you check us out on all of the socials. Hold on. There we go. All of the socials right here. TikTok, Instagram. We have an X account now. Check us out everywhere. As we continue to grow this thing, talk sports with you guys, please leave a comment down below. Shout out to Fans for Sports for partnering with us to give us this great ability to give you the content that we love and enjoy to give you. Matt, I want to talk Cavaliers. Cavs played Miami tonight. Just ended. What are your takeaways given that they lost? What is it, their fourth game or fifth game this season? Fourth. It's only their fourth, I believe.
I believe 4, yes. I mean, we kind of just hit my thought on the head there. Oh no, loss number 4. And I know there are, some bigger things to talk about here, and I'll let Noah get into that here in a minute. I think a big injury and some other stuff.
Yeah, Evan Mobley did go down this game with a sprained ankle. But go ahead with the rest of your take. I'll talk about Evan Mobley in a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's loss number 4 or 5 or whatever. It's nothing to be worried about, and it wasn't a bad loss. It's not an ugly loss. Miami's a good team. What really is there to say about losing your 4th game this deep into the season? I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And it sucks because if you would have took that Miami game, then you're going into a big rest on a 5-game win streak, and you're showing, that you're one of the best teams in the NBA still, and they still are. The big thing of note here is definitely the Evan Mobley injury. He sprained his ankle. Hopefully it isn't a super, super long injury rehab cycle. A lot of these sprained ankles that they've had this season have only been like a week. And the Cavs are off again until Friday now because they are out of the NBA Cup. So hopefully that gives him enough time to rest up, because even when he sprained his ankle and was hobbling around, he ended up going back down the court and getting a rebound. So hopefully it isn't too serious of a sprain. They just let him rest so they could continue to let him rest into what is this next part of the season after this 4-day, 5-day break that they're bestowed upon, which was crazy that they're not playing basketball for 4 days. I feel like every other day and catching up on what's going on with the Cavs, or at least catching up with what's going on with the Cavs, or watching a full basketball game. I digress on that. It sucks. Miami's a good team. They outplayed us tonight. We tried to battle back into it. It's just tough when you have a guy go down and, you're on your back-to-back. They look tired to me, honestly. They have had a lot of games in a row, not back-to-back, but you get what I'm saying. They have played a lot of games with, only 1 day break in between, like it's a playoff schedule or something. So I get it. It sucks, but it's the NBA. You win some, you lose some. No team's ever going to go 82-0. I don't think anybody in their right mind expects this team to actually go out there and break the 73-9 record. I personally have never thought that. I'd ride the high all day, of course, if they did do that. But this Cavaliers team is still a good basketball team, and I'm still excited to watch them come Friday after a much-deserved rest. Matt, anything else you're thinking Cavs-wise?
I mean, really, I just want to heavy double down on the Evan Mobley needs to be all right. The development and the way he's played this year has been huge for the team.
Yeah, and not just to focus on the Miami game, too. I mean, we played the Hornets yesterday. He had a absolutely insane 42-point game, played great on defense. Kenny Atkinson was praising him for both sides of the ball. He started out that game, it was like 23 or 25 points in the first quarter. It was insane. He was shooting lights out from three, which is the development we've been waiting to see from this guy for years. We all got to remember, he's 23 years old. He's got plenty of time to continue to grow in to an elite scorer, he's already an elite defender, but, one of the top players in this league. And I personally still think this guy is going to be an all-star this year. I think there's a case for everybody. Darius Garland, I think, has a case. I think Donovan Mitchell always will be an all-star. And I think Evan Mobley has a case thus far to be on an all-star team come February. But that's just me. And there's more exciting stuff going on. We got to end on a high note, right? We got to end on one high note. Bieber Fever is back, re-signed with the Cleveland Guardians, stays in Cleveland, 1-year player option. Matt, you're our resident baseball guy. Talk me through it.
I mean, initial reaction, first, I get the little notification. I'm a kid in the candy shop. I'm so excited. I love it. I'm so happy. I can't even see the terms yet. I just know he's coming back. That's all I care about. I text my mom. I text my boss. I text Noah. I text everyone. And then it comes out. It's a 1-year deal. Kind of figured if he was coming back, that's what it would be with a player option.
I was going to say it's the ball's in his court, though. It's not like the Dolan can cheap out on that, which is what I liked about it, is that Bieber has the opportunity to come back, basically, as opposed to us basically adding a second year that isn't going to be picked up regardless because we're cheap. Continue.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a 1-year, $14 million deal. So that's not, that's about what a 1 year would be worth coming off an injury. And then a $16 million option. So we're offering him a raise if he wants to stay. I mean, obviously he's not going to be back till, sometime around the middle of the season, maybe a little earlier than midseason. But I mean, I think it's, it came down to him wanting to rehab with an organization he's comfortable with. But it came out, and what made me so happy and so excited is he had multiple bigger offers with, blue chip teams, the Yankees and Dodgers, those types of teams. And he turned them down. He wanted to stay in Cleveland. He chose to stay in Cleveland.
See, I love when things like that come out 100% because I think it speaks to the testament of the sports culture that's here in this city, right? And that's all fine, hunky dory, dandy. But at the same time, I wish there were a salary cap. I wish we didn't have cheap owners. I wish we were able to give these guys what they deserve at the same time. I know it can be a touchy subject because they're all millionaires at the end of the day. But what these players deserve, instead of having to be like, well, at least they chose Cleveland. I want to be able to say they chose Cleveland and they got what they deserve. That's me being a little pessimistic here on a Sunday after watching back-to-back Cleveland losses. But of course, I'm ecstatic that he chose us over going to the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Angels or whoever the hell was trying to vet him out there. I did see that notification as well.
And I think it's hard for me, right? Because obviously, like at first and still super excited that he's going to be back. I do think, even if he does have a very good year, I think there's reason to think he'll take his player option, But it kind of sent me down a rabbit hole, right? I was like, oh, Shane Bieber's back. Let's go. Wait a minute. Now who's our rotation now? Because you still don't have him for the first half of the year. So we still need to add one or two arms in free agency to get us at least to midseason and bring him back. So I ended up down a rabbit hole of looking at that.
Yeah, go ahead, because who's there right now? Obviously, you have you have the guys from last year. Obviously, Boyd left. Bibby's still here. Gavin Williams is still here. What are you looking at? Tell me.
You have Tristan McKenzie as well. A name you'd be familiar with. So I started looking at free agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just throwing, couple names out there I saw we could get them on deals I think, our ownership would go for. A name we're familiar with, Alex Cobb. I wouldn't mind us going out there signing guys like Alex Wood, Lance Lynn, a lot of playoff experience, love that. Or like a Colin Ray, a young guy, could be, a up and coming superstar. Not worth a lot yet though.
Do you think McKenzie has a shot to be playing Major League Baseball? Because I looked it up, and I know we've talked about it a few times now. We both love Sticks, obviously. We want to see him succeed. He was a fantastic pitcher. But, looking at his 2024, he started 16 games. He had an ERA in the minors of 5.23. 5.23. I don't know what's going on with him if he ended up deciding to go ahead and get that surgery, but I don't know, man. I just wanted to ask since you mentioned it.
Now that you're bringing that up, it was just a name I remembered when I said that. But now that we're bringing it up and getting back into the Tristan McKenzie situation, and I'm remembering it, I want to say he did end up getting that surgery. I could be very wrong on that.
And honestly, right now, but go ahead.
I kind of forgot, how bad he looked this last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, outside of him, to answer your question first, I do think, absolutely there's always an opportunity. We've seen what he's capable of. And I think pitching is such a mental, it's 90% mental, 10% how you can throw a ball.
Yeah.
And obviously he's in a nasty funk, but if he can figure a way out of it, I think he could absolutely be back to that, number 2 role that he once was.
Yeah, I hope so, man, because that was, I think, a key part of what they were hoping would save them from the Shane Bieber injury. Not saying that they would have made it into the World Series anyway, but hopefully we see something good out of him. Speaking of seeing something good out of a player we have, back to Shane Bieber for a second. I wanted to go ahead, throw out some predictions based off of what I've seen, last year before his injury, the Cy Young season, him getting rehabbed back into this. I'm hoping, praying that he gets us some quality starts. Shane Bieber's Cy Young winning season, he posted a 1.63 ERA over 12 starts. That was the shortened COVID season, I believe, right? 122 strikeouts, 77 innings pitched, 8-1 record, whip of .87, which is insane to me. Last year, he threw 12 innings. He had a 0 ERA. Obviously, he only pitched like 2 or 3 games and threw no hit or no runs in at that point. 20 strikeouts, whip of 92. He was on pace to, he wasn't going to, it's like the Cavs, right? Like the Cavs aren't going to go ahead and win 82-0 because they started out whatever it ended up being. But, my prediction, if he plays not the full season, but the half season, I got him hopefully around a 3.2 ERA, a whip between 1.5, and, win-loss, you're talking 8-2 maybe, something like that is what I'm thinking and hoping out of him, especially if he's going to come back and be the ace or the ace number 2 behind Bibee. What do you think he's going to put up?
I mean, like, obviously it comes down to, when he comes back and all that.
Right.
But I really do think you look at what you saw out of him at the start of last year, and I remember talking about it on this show a little bit. He looked dominant. Like he, obviously, 0 ERA. Like he looked dominant. Like I was getting ready to lock in, a good chunk of change on his Cy Young before he got hurt, and I'm glad I didn't, but I digress. And players are often known to come back perfectly fine, if not even better, after a Tommy John surgery. Obviously, there's potential for that to not be the case.
Right.
But I truly think he's going to come back and he's going to dominate again like he has. I mean, if he comes back before midseason point, I would not be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised. I would expect him to win 10 games.
I just hope we get a little bit of that Bieber magic and we can all be happy with some quality starting pitching outside of Bibee. And I hope they spend some more money this year too. I think they've shown some signs that they're planning to do so with some of these moves, like moving Eli Morgan and that kind of thing, that they're opening some space to spend some money here. I hope as we continue through this MLB offseason, free agency, everything we got going on up until spring ball, that we get to see some more moves, hopefully some more pitching, maybe another bat. I don't know. Come into Cleveland and see what we can do coming off of what was a fantastic ALCS appearance for the Cleveland Guardians. Matt, I want to take us home. I want to go to Random Thoughts, Hot Takes. Renamed it a little bit because I think it fits the subject matter of the random thoughts that we kind of throw out here. Matt, what's your random thought? What's your hot take to end this show?
Kind of jumping on the random thought / rabbit hole train, I've been going on the past couple of days. You look at the trend of Cleveland baseball, and I'm not sure if you can figure out where I'm going with this yet.
I don't know.
We have a year. We take the Yankees to 5. It's a great series. Could have beat the Yankees. The following season, we miss the playoffs, have a horrible year. The season after that, we make the playoffs, win a series. The season after that, we miss the playoffs, have a horrible year. The season after that, we are currently at the end of, which was a fantastic year and an ALCS appearance. There's a trend there that makes me very nervous for this upcoming baseball season.
Yeah, I've thought about that too. I just feel like this team with, players continuing to age and grow into their roles like Stephen Kwan, I feel pretty decent about them not having that regression and following that trend. But I've also thought about it, I'm not going to lie, and I hope it is not right. And I'm going to leave it at that for now. My random thought, my hot take, is not really, it's going to sound like it's coming from a place of saltiness. And it's not a salty take. I'm not salty about this. The Browns lost today. That's fine. We always lose in Pittsburgh. We suck this year, whatever. They were talking on the broadcast today about how the Steelers, how teams have the turnover chain or teams have like a turnover prop that they hold up in the camera or get the fans going with. They were talking about how the Steelers' turnover item is a t-shirt that they get, and then they can wear it around the building and everybody gives them props all week. That is the dumbest turnover reward of all time. I don't care about a t-shirt. That's just doing it to get in on the trend at this point. And I, for one, thought it was stupid. I would have thought it's stupid if Kevin Stefanski introduced it with the Browns. I would have thought it was stupid if it was something we were doing in Ohio State with Ryan Day. I don't care what team this falls under. It is a stupid turnover tradition. And I laughed at my TV when I heard, I don't know who the sideline reporter was for today's Browns-Steelers game, when she was telling us about that tradition and hyping it up like we should be like, oh, this is so cool. I know that's her job. I'm not giving her flack. I'm giving the Steelers flack for a stupid fucking tradition. And that is my one F-bomb for this episode. Matt, you got anything else to say to these people?
I mean, you are right with that, and I thought the same thing. It didn't upset me clearly as much as it upset you.
So stupid.
But, like, you're right with that. The whole point of the turnover prop trend was you take a big moment in the game, your defense creating a new possession for your offense, and then you get the crowd even more into it than they already are and hype them up and amp them up. And the crowd's a big factor. A t-shirt you get the next day, what am I supposed to do with that?
Where's my t-shirt? Who cares about your t-shirt, bro?
Like,
give them the t-shirt anyway. That shouldn't be your main thing. Like, okay, cool. What, are we happy about getting a Gildan screen printed t-shirt from the pro shop down the street?
It's musty, been in a back closet for 3 years.
Right. Like, what are you going to, I got this t-shirt when I got an interception off of Jameis Winston. Oh, good for you, bro.
Pretty
Same
sure my
here.
grandma has one of those.
Right. Anyway, I'm a little heated. I'm upset my team's lost today, but that's okay. That's the nature of being a sports fan. It's always a great day here at the office. Everybody have a blessed rest of your Sunday or whenever you're watching this, and we will talk to you next time here at the office. Have a great one. Peace.